this. Anyway, go right ahead.
Okay, so I'll tell you who I am. I'm a community advocate around mass incarceration. I am very passionate about changing the system of the judiciary system, jails, and prisons. I myself have had loved ones who are incarcerated and constantly over-policed, and I see the impact on communities like the ones that I grew up in. I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, and I constantly see these impacts of policing in our communities, and it's circular. It's not ending because we're not changing the way that we are being policed, and we're not addressing it as far as reform or even as deep as abolition, which I do believe in. I just think it's a process. So I'll share my screen. Some of you may have joined my presentation previously. The meat and potatoes of it is levels of encounters with police and like knowing what to expect, what to look for, and how you know your rights at each level and like what you can do and say to advocate for yourself and what police should be doing or saying. And then you know the barriers of what is a bad stop compared to a good stop. And when there is a bad stop, what you can do to advocate for yourself. So a level one is a general police encounter. We see a lot of this in New York City because we are such a pedestrian heavy city compared to other cities that have a lot of drivers. So level ones are consensual encounters, meaning you give permission to interact with the police. If you choose not to talk to them and you don't want to engage, that's totally up to you. If you're not comfortable, you can walk away. Technically, you can run away. I would never advise you to run away because that does increase their level of suspicion of you. But according to the law, you do have the right to do that. At a level one, they're asking you general questions. They're not accusatory. You're not specifically the goal of why they're investigating you or an area or a situation, but they may be looking for information to help with an investigation. For example, at a level one, if I approach this group, if all of us were hanging out at Central Park and they came up to us, they could ask all of us the same types of questions because one person is not of pointed suspicion. The difference in a level two we'll talk about is when they ask you accusatory questions specifically around you. When they're doing encounters, they're looking for someone that has committed a crime, someone who's going to commit a crime, or evidence of a dangerous weapon. Those are the three reasons why police should be interacting with folks to gain information and investigate. At a level one, they shouldn't be bringing up frisking you, which is a pat down. They shouldn't be bringing up searching you, which is going into your belongings, clothing, or bag. They may ask you to remove your hands from your pockets. That's a measure of safety for them. They're just thinking if you have something dangerous or sharp that you could pull out while you're talking to them and they could be harmed. So the difference between a level one and a two, like I said, is general questions at level one, specific pointed questions at level two. So at a level two, they have to have a reason to think that you are suspicious or behavior is suspicious or there's unusual activity. A big reason why these levels exist and why we talk about this is because stop and frisk in itself was done in a way that they violated people's constitutional rights. It was heavy in the 90s and early 2000s, and particularly Black, Brown, and Latino young men between the ages of 12 all the way to like 24, 25 are the target group still and were at that point as well. But we, as a city, the city was sued, NYPD was sued, and people won, and they sued the city based on these caveats of these different ways that these stop and frisk were happening. So there's street encounters, NYCHA property, and then public buildings as well. So those are the three groups. So all of these fall within that category, as well as like the train station. That's something else we talk about at a different day when we have like more time to talk. Level two, they can ask you for consent to search your belongings, but they should not be doing it without your permission. Everyone knows you have to give consent. If you don't know, I'm telling you now, you have to give consent when they ask you. If you say no, they're not supposed to do it. If they do it, don't try to stop them, but you'll have a case to be able to file a complaint and possibly sue as well. At this level, sorry, I clicked that by mistake. At this level two, there's more suspicion in their questions. So they're going to ask you, were you specifically at a date, time, and location, or are you involved with this group of people who are suspicious? Are you a person that maybe carries a weapon on you, like things like that? At a level two, you can still walk away, but it may not be that clear and you're probably unsure. The clarifying question that lets you know if you're at a level two rather than a level three is you asking, am I being detained? Detained is when you're held, you are not arrested, but you're not free to go. At a level two, you are free to go, but if they tell you no, you can't go, you have to wait right here, that means you're at a level three. You also have the right to remain silent at every level of interaction. That's all the way up until arrest. That's when you're in jail and prison. That's when they're stopping you at the first question. They could ask you if the sky is blue. You have the right to remain silent. You never have to talk to police officers It's always smart, to stay silent because you could say something to place you in a suspicious situation that you didn't do anything wrong in. It's just the matter of they can use anything you say against you, or they can turn your words around, or they can use it as evidence. At a level 3, you're detained. So now in a detained level, they do have more rights than you do for the most part. They can frisk you now. So remember I said a frisk is a pat down. So if they think that you may be armed and dangerous with a weapon, primarily guns, because gun violence is up in New York City, or has been up. The numbers are actually changing recently. So there is a focus on gun violence. So when they frisk you, it will be the outer part of your clothing. If they frisk you and they decide they feel something that looks and feels possibly like a weapon that is a gun, it's usually a description of an L shape, a larger size, a heavier weight, they then can only search that pocket. They shouldn't be doing a full body search at a level 3 just yet, unless they have a emergency situation where there's like a shooting in the area very recently. They heard gunshots and they're checking out people who fit the description very clearly, maybe have suspicious behavior along with that as well. At a level 3, again, you can ask, am I free to go or not? They'll tell you, but they're usually verifying who you are, looking you up, asking you questions, maybe doing the frisk, searching the area. If you're in a vehicle, they may be doing a visible search where they can see, not going into the car just yet. At a level 3 also, you should have your hands removed from your pockets again, like we talked about a level 2 and a 1. And also ID. A lot of people think it's illegal not to have ID. It's not illegal. You actually can walk around with no ID. A lot of us grew up hearing that from our parents. That's not true, but you do have to identify yourself. Officers are supposed to be able to ask your first and last name and your address. I advise people take a picture of your ID, keep it in your phone just in case you forget it, lose your wallet. That happens to all of us. They are not supposed to, they're not supposed to take you in just because you cannot provide ID, but if they can't identify you, they can take you in, and that's their excuse. Like, oh, we don't know who you are. You could have a warrant. You could be somewhere you're not supposed to be. We have to take you in to identify you. Obviously, once you're taken into a precinct, what happens? You get searched. So that's a way that they have been circumventing sometimes, being able to search people when they don't provide ID or identify themselves. So that's really important, especially in our neighborhoods with our youth. And then the last level is a level 4. So level 4 can be an arrest. Obviously, if they witness a crime or find evidence of a crime or a weapon that's unregistered. If it's also a summons when they give you a ticket. So it doesn't mean you're getting arrested. Everyone knows like jaywalking is a tricky one because they just passed a law last summer for city council to eradicate jaywalking as an illegal summons. But it hasn't gone into effect yet. It's supposed to happen actually this month. So we'll follow that legislation and see what happens there. But small things like spitting, jumping the turnstile, open container, drinking in public, in the parks after dark, using the bathroom in public. And it's hundreds more. They have a list of these summonses. These are a lot of reasons that they've approached people too. They're observing you always. Officers' job is to observe, their job is to patrol. So even though it seems like maybe they're following you or watching you, they do have the right to do that. So I know it may feel uncomfortable at times. What I tell people is that be mindful of your behaviors. If they think you're moving your body to hide something, if they think you're covering your face, you keep looking back at them, if you cross the street when you see them walking, all of those are listed in their trainings as a suspicious behavior that gives them more reason to eventually approach you. Granted, everything I named is normal human behavior, and if you're nervous, it probably happens too, right? Whether you're doing something or not. But just be mindful as a community, and when you talk to the youth especially, to be aware of their behaviors and just kind of keep moving as you were before you saw the officers. If they follow you into the corner store, it's fine. They can do that. It's a public space. If they're driving down the block and you're walking, they also can do that. And I know it seems really annoying sometimes and ridiculous, but that is a big part of the work. I want to stop here. I'm just going to actually first, I'll share this QR code. So if everyone can scan it, I would appreciate that. It's just going to ask you a few questions about police interactions for yourself.
That's
And
very interesting. I find this level 4 really, really interesting, actually. Um, and
I
they
wanted to
use these
open the floor to
tools.
ask questions. Yeah, so please, John, feel
I'm
free.
sorry.
No, I was just saying I was opening after everyone scans, I was just opening up for questions and
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, I've seen this used often a lot, and it's amazing that they have these little laws still on the books that they can actually use. And I've seen them write oath tickets plenty of times to mentally ill, and it's just a way for them to whisk them up and take them away and maybe put them in Rikers Island. And if you're there without any money or friends and so forth, you could be there for, you
Yeah,
know, months and years.
unfortunately, very true. And Rikers is a very dangerous place for many reasons. Like there was just another death reported this morning.
Yeah.
So it's horrible to hear that that's being used.
Do you have any way of going into understanding those figures, or do you have connections like on data when it comes to
So
records?
yeah, I'm connected with UJC and folks who are doing the closed records campaign. So they follow that data really well. So if you want, I can connect you if you like.
Sure. There might be something that we can work with there. And I know they're trying to transition some, make some changes there now. Are you up on those details?
Some of it, like briefly. The thing is that this work now is more policing than jails, so it's so detailed and focused. I've been more on the prison, the policing side. I used
Mhm.
to be very involved in the jails and prison side, and be more, on the money with what's happening currently. But I follow it on a larger scale. But I can definitely, like I said, loop you in with the folks who do it. I have some great organizers that I'm very close with that can provide more insight.
That sounds great.